Atheist Nomads, episode 167, with Shujin Tribble and Brigid from Holy Crap, the Vlogcast.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
We are the Atheist Nomads, bringing you history, science, politics, religion, and interviews with leaders in the atheist community. Not all those who wander are lost. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Today is the Light the Night Walk. That's right. We raised money during the Streamathon to help fight blood cancers. So far, I've got $614.05 raised with a goal of $666. That is $666. So it's not too late to donate. You can find the link in the show notes here at atheistnomads.com/167. And the audio you're about to hear is actually from the Streamathon. It's the first hour with a guest. So that was actually hour 2. Sam Mulvey was still with us. He actually helped make us through the entire Streamathon. And Lauren and Wesley are also with me. Also, I do want to thank Becky and Meredith for joining in and helping us out. So enjoy the episode. Enjoy the talk with someone who lost his wife to cancer and someone who works in the medical field. And help us fuck cancer. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com.
Hey, we're also brought to you by listeners just like you. Find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheist nomads. That's patreon.com/atheist nomads.
We have Shujin Tribble and Brigid with us.
Brigid Fitch.
I'm sorry,
Welcome.
is Tribble the actual last name?
No, as a matter of fact, Sam's going to appreciate this. Sam, if you've got a couple more moments, I don't want you to leave just yet because I want your reaction too. Tribble, yes, I am a huge Star Trek dork, like nobody's business. But Tribble, believe it or not, started off as my call sign on CB radio in the late 80s.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because I couldn't come up with anything better. Yes, there you go. And Shujin actually translates from Japanese. It's one of these weird ones where you have to kind of understand the context. It translates as, depending as to how you're using it, husband.
Right.
Or there is a context of master, as in master of the house, the way that Lurch would say, Master Adams will see you now, that kind of thing. And,
okay. I recognize the word as husband, so I was like, that was probably not a real name, so the Tribble probably isn't either, but I have known people with weird names, and my dog wants this so bad. Look at that. Oh my god.
He said blame him.
He can.
Everybody wants the Tribble.
Bucky cannot have the Tribble. It actually vibrates and buzzes
when it's turned on. It's not turned on.
That is not uncommon for most Tribbles. You're welcome.
What kind of mood lighting does the Tribble like to get it turned on?
Disco balls.
Got it.
Disco balls.
There's just something about the
okay,
voyeurism.
you're freaking him out.
And now the Corgi wants it even more.
Down, Bucky, down, you mad beast.
Some while ago, we actually did have Sam on our show once before, which was all kinds of fun. I'm very much looking forward to finding more blackmail material to get him back.
Talk to Becky.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I want to get both of them on because there's something that I keep forgetting, and I need to send an email, and I need to really make that happen. But did I hear correctly? Sam did not yet bring in any funds just yet.
Not just yet. I surprisingly, I thought I was just clicking on a link to something. I didn't realize I was joining a hangout. They had to bring me. Becky had to bring me pants.
Wesley didn't. You don't have to either.
As long as the webcam is pointed above the waist, you don't need pants.
Dustin needs pants.
Yes, because...
Needs pants.
Yep.
That's great.
I don't.
So we've got a low bar to beat him. That would be great. That would be excellent. What do you think, Bridge? You think we can do this?
Sure, we can do it.
All right.
I've got my wallet over there. I could put $5 in right now.
See, so this is my first time meeting you guys. So, what do you like to go by Brigid? Do you like to go by
Brigid?
Okay. Because I've known some Bridgets who like Bridge. Brigid is nice though. It's very Norse sounding, like a Viking. Well, I don't care if it's not her real name. I'm still admiring it.
Lauren, I whispered that to you.
I'm a blabbermouth by trade. That's just what I am.
That's kind of the part and parcel of being a podcaster and on the air in one way or another, isn't it, though?
Yeah. If you're not a blabbermouth, why are you getting in front of a microphone?
Touche.
Yeah,
I
Sam.
ask
Why
myself
not?
that
Why
every
are you?
day.
Why?
Okay, so tell us a bit about Holy Crap, the Vlogcast.
Well, I got started with doing Holy Crap, the Vlogcast basically because in Second Life, I do a lot of DJ work. Most of the week I'm doing something. Friday nights, we have a TGIF kind of thing, and we would talk about some stuff that was in the news, and unfortunately, there were times where stuff was just not fun because we got onto some topics that were just bad, religious-wise especially. And, we had the people who were just like, dude, this is not being fun anymore? Oh, okay. So basically spun off doing this, the Vlogcast, which has now turned into an actual podcast, to kind of separate that piece so we can go ahead and go off on whatever it is that we want to. And it's done fairly well for itself. We are not going to be on broadcast air anytime soon. We're not going to be breaking the top 143 podcasts. I think that number is going to be a hell of a lot lower. I think we're really, really. You know how there's a couple of different versions of the depth chart. Mm-hmm. We need to be on an A3 piece of paper to even hope to get a little piece of real estate on that page. But we do our thing. We talk about whatever comes up. I try really hard to not make it about me as much as stuff really boils up because of what I've seen, what I feel. And I think that we've kind of gotten an interesting piece of it all because we end up with at total, I forget if it's 8 or 9 of us all together. I keep forgetting about it. And I've intentionally tried to get people from as many different perspectives as possible. Canada, left and right coast. The U.S., Brigid's from the Midwest, where there's been a lot of garbage that has happened. I don't remember what level of language I can use, so I'll be careful.
You can use language.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to overstep accidentally.
That's very kind of you, but yeah, language is fine.
Say whatever the fuck you want.
Perfect. In that case, I will go ahead and say it. I'm currently outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm originally from Brooklyn and Long Island. One of our guys is from Pittsburgh. Another is from outside of D.C. Someone else who will occasionally be coming in at this point is from England, and another is a transplant currently living in Paris, France, originally from Canada. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody from, who only knows where. For instance, Sam from Ask an Atheist, which, love you. You're one of the few podcasts that still is on my listen list, unfortunately.
It's okay. You can.
Ask an Atheist is the longest running one on my subscriptions.
Yeah, my problem is that unfortunately, the company I was working for folded this year, some months ago. So my podcast listening, which usually would have been while I'm out on deliveries, is no more. So that's changed around a little bit. So there's a few of them that still are left over, and I refuse to let Sam go away. We have too many connections.
I'm sure he prays for you every day.
I'm sure that's a complete fabrication on your part.
As transparent as a cloud. Wait.
Yes, you lie like a Persian rug.
Yeah.
But Brigid came on some months ago because, like I said, in the Midwest of the U.S., she's unfortunately had to put up with laws that were just horrific, mayors and governors that just absolutely hellacious to deal with. And Brigid, I don't know how much of it you want to drop in at this point. I think you're kind of free and clear for a lot of pieces, but explain how you got.
Well, I had a lot to say. Right now, I'm a transplant living in Indiana. I've had to deal with the Mike Pence administration for way too long. And the first haggle that I got into with them was back in 2012. They tried to pass a Lord's Prayer bill in the public schools. And it had sailed through the House and the Senate, and it was sitting on Pence's desk, and he was going to sign it, and had put out a press release saying that he was going to sign it. And so I immediately got in touch with the Freedom from Religion Foundation and filed a claim with them and asked them to sue on my behalf. My daughter at the time was going to public schools here, and so I had standing. And with us all being atheists, well, she claims to be agnostic, but I wasn't having it, and nobody else was coming forward. But I did ask them to leave my name out of the press if it did have to go to court. And I'm not sure what the FFRF did, but it quietly went away, never to be heard from again.
All it takes is one lawsuit. That's horrible that it got that far in the first place.
It did, and
so I
sent copies of the legislation. I went to the website, the government website, and sent the legislation and the press releases and all that, to FFRF, and I'm like, you've got to do something because this is about to be signed into law. And, it's unconstitutional, but it would have been the law until it worked its way through the courts to get overturned.
And it would have. We know full well it would have, but it would have been long, it would have been arduous, it would have been... Sooner or later, something would have been leaked to somebody, and it would have cost a crap ton of money, unfortunately.
Yeah. Crap ton of taxpayer money.
Yeah.
For no good reason.
Yeah, for something that has been shown on multiple occasions. It will go down in flames. There's just no two ways about it.
Well, right now, there's this terrible trend with a lot of these conservative states, and we're in Idaho, so... we get to deal with this as well, where
a lot.
They don't have any problem with passing unconstitutional laws and then spending all of the road and school money defending it in court.
Yep, they actually have a slush fund up to the side specifically for fighting lawsuits.
And last year, fighting the same-sex marriage ban and one other law, they completely drained I think it was $1.5 million they had in that fund. And then they went to the legislature and said, okay, this fund is empty. We need money. And they took money from schools and the highways and funded it.
Yep. So we heart the struggle. What I am impressed with is that you actually went ahead. I know you said you kept your name out of it, but that you actually, pushed for the lawsuit. There's a lot of people who aren't willing to take that step. So that's cool. Well,
somebody had to, and nobody else was coming forward.
It's scary, right?
I did what I had to do. Yeah, it is scary. And there was another instance. I was working for a Catholic-owned nonprofit who was affiliated with 2 Catholic hospital systems. And when the Religious Freedom RFRA was passed, they could have required me to sign a statement of faith for, saying that I would abide by the Catholic precepts, which I'm not Catholic, and I would have had a huge problem with this. Then a supervisor threatened me and told me that I was going to go to hell and all sorts of other garbage when she found out that I did same-sex weddings. And she found out that my daughter was gay and said my daughter was going to go to hell too. And she did this on a conference call in front of other coworkers.
Oh my God.
Holy crap.
Since she helped write my evaluations, I could not say anything back to her. I just put the phone on mute and I just freaked out, where she couldn't hear me. But I ended up meeting Lucian Greaves at the American Atheist conference in Memphis and let people know what was going on there. And he decided that if something happened to my job, then he would come down and give the kids in the schools coloring books. They already have the Good News Club, so that was going to be his little protest.
That's something that's happening in Washington State now, is that
I saw that.
There's a school that does have the Good News Club up in Bellingham, I believe, and yeah, we're getting in there too.
All right.
Yep.
So I figured if I lost my job and had to bounce and the neighbors turned against me, then I'd cause all kinds of chaos on the way out the door.
That was one of my biggest fears working for the hospital. I mean, it's the one that I worked for wasn't particularly religious, but I have worked for Trinity Health, which is, they're kind of an umbrella Catholic organization.
One of the biggest. And
every day you get emails that had the daily prayer, and but I found that one other person in the office who was an atheist, and oh my God, it made it work. I just had that one person that had the American Atheist sticker on the back of her car and was obsessed with science, and I'm like, I bet you're the same person. And she was. I'm like, okay, I can get through this. I have a cohort. But there's a lot of people out there who don't have that.
I didn't have that. They all went to church and asked me where I went to church, and I told them I don't go to church, and they were trying to save me and all sorts of stuff.
Oh.
And the really funky thing about the RFRA was I could have had to follow not only the Catholic precepts, but my supervisor was Pentecostal.
Oh, no.
Pentecostal, and I would have had to follow hers as well. And I'm like, how in the hell would I act like I'm Assembly of God or whatever it was that she was and Catholic at the same time, because there's a conflict there. But according to law, I would have had to make it work.
Wow.
Which is why that law is stupid.
It's very stupid, which is why Pence had to walk it back. Or one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good old Pence.
But at least he is not going to be my governor anymore. Hot damn.
That's kind of, yeah.
So with running for vice president, did he resign, or is he up for re-election?
He had to. He was ineligible to run again.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
He couldn't run again. He had to make a choice. And he chose VP rather than running again. So, yeah, I'm thrilled to be getting rid of him, but I hope that he's not going to be foisted on the whole country.
I don't think I still don't think I don't think it's sunk in, the scariness of the situation.
Yeah, he's a theocrat through and through. And what concerns me, I know that Trump lies about everything, but he has said that he would delegate out his foreign and domestic policy to his VP.
Which is everything a president does, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah. So Pence would be doing his job and calling the shots, and that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I've already seen what he's done to my state.
And I've already heard people Trump apologists who are like, well, Trump is pretty bad, but it's going to be Pence who's going to be doing everything, and Pence is a good guy. I'm like, no.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh.
He's a theocrat.
Yeah, like I said, on top of that, that's what's called an abdication of responsibility. And really, we know people who have been like that. There's the stereotype for people like that. The ones who are walking around all the time because they need to find out where the coffee is.
Yeah. Oh, man. And the crazy thing is, okay, so yes, presidents do delegate parts of foreign and domestic policy. That's why there's a cabinet.
Sure, but you don't give it to the VP.
But you don't delegate all of it. Authority over all of it.
You gather the information from all of these people in your cabinet who are supposed to be the most knowledgeable people that you can get, who are supposed to have basically feelers and ears and eyes out to everything to filter into them, let them know what's the most important and pressing, bring that on to the commander-in-chief, who then decides, okay, with what you're telling me and what they're telling me and what they're telling me and what they're telling me, I need for you to speak with my voice to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to do this, and then you need to do this, you need to do this, while I take care of this to make sure that everything I just told you works the way that it's supposed to. Thank you very much, meeting adjourned, hike.
Yeah.
Now, I am no diplomat. I did not take any poli-sci courses. I did not get a degree in anything, unfortunately, other than the love of my life from college. But I'm pretty sure I've got a pretty good handle on how that's supposed to work, and it wasn't covered exactly in Schoolhouse Rock either. So I think I know what I'm talking about, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting back to a little bit onto the topic of why we are doing this streamathon.
Yeah, fuck cancer. Hashtag that.
Good hashtag.
You've got a personal
Brigid will tell you that, yes, I do. Brigid will tell you, when I go ahead and I say fuck cancer, I really mean it.
Yeah.
Brigid has worked with the medical side of stuff, and she tends to be the person that I go to when I have a couple of dead seconds and I need somebody with a medical knowledge to actually say, yep, you're right, or no, you're wrong. But as a matter of fact, the T-shirt that I'm wearing is actually... Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm actually wearing pants. I decided to wear my 2006 Rider's shirt from the Ride for Roswell, which is my campaign.
Ride for Roswell, as in bicycles or motorcycles?
Bicycles.
Okay.
We lost my wife a little over 11 years ago to a rare form of cancer, which is called angiosarcoma. She was about a month and a half away from 35 years old. I've been raising our daughter since that point, alone with my family is an hour to an hour and a half away. My in-laws, what's currently of them, is about 45 to an hour away. So I had to do a lot. When my wife was diagnosed, we were told for the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, which is the place, we were told by them it was 1 in a million for them to see that particular form of cancer, and that at that time, 5-year survival rate was 20%.
Fuck.
Yeah. So we knew that we were behind the ball, and she fought tooth and nail for almost 3 years. Tooth and nail.
Wow.
And I have refused to allow all of that to kill all of me. Pieces of me are really, really, really hurt, and they will continue to be, probably for the rest of whatever. But I have participated in fundraising for this hospital, research hospital, since that point. When I first moved up here to the Buffalo area, I helped them out the first year with communications for the ham radio side, which Sam will know full well. Doing communications for nonprofit organizations and whatnot is always fun.
And absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I got to talk to Nichelle Nichols over ham radio one time. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
She didn't understand the concept that you need to let go of the talk button in order to hear me respond.
Well, in Star Trek world, it was all full duplex, so...
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, we were. But anyway.
That's adorable.
But I don't take cancer lightly at all. And I know cancer is... And Brigid knows all too well, and I'm sure most of us do. Cancer is an umbrella term for a lot of different symptoms and causes and presentations. Cancer is not a singular thing, which is why you've got lymphoma, you've got leukemia, you've got angiosarcoma, you've got melanoma, you've got so many of these different things under so many different technical terms that themselves are scary. But what scares the most is we have this amazing age of information, and we haven't yet figured it out, which is both scary and, understandable. It's incredibly complex, but every day there is something new that we didn't know about this, how to deal with it. the doctor that was helping my wife, his thing was specifically angiosarcoma. He figured out that there was a drug that literally worked as a molecular level lock and key in order to lock that sucker down and make it starve itself.
Wow.
A brand new style at that point, a new category called anti-angiogenesis, which is a big fat word that Star Trek people are going, wait, what? Which is a method of basically stopping the runaway cells from building new vascular vessels so that it can't feed itself anymore and it starves. In the lab for my wife's version, worked like a champ. And I truly believe if she had gotten this treatment early on, it might have just been a chronic problem to have to take drugs for the rest of whatever. And I've had people who've said, doesn't that hurt knowing that you might have still had her? Yeah, no lie. But we also have to remember, in every medical fight, there is always going to be the last patient. There's always going to be that last person that we couldn't keep it from happening for. We have documentation in the 70s of the last person infected in the wild by smallpox. We know who it was. We know when it happened. We know why it hasn't happened anymore. The best I can do is to help families maybe not necessarily go through what we went through, because there will be, but I can at least be an example by doing what I do to show that we had the storybook love that I keep talking about from The Princess Bride. We loved like you wouldn't believe. But I will do what I can to help people, if they have to cope, to be able to say, yeah, it's going to suck. And I can tell you that you can make it through. And if you want me to help you, if you want me to talk to you, I will do what I can. But it's ultimately going to be your walk. And I can only hope to help be there to help you illuminate part of the way.
Wow.
Okay, we're all crying now.
Yeah.
But well, yeah.
I don't mean to make that as much of a downer as it is, because I want people to understand that what I have gone through has been a decade of putting a lot of stuff on hold for myself and hoping against hope that I can help people some way or other. And that's exactly the reason why you guys are doing this fundraiser as it is now. I don't care which group it's for. There are some that I would much rather it not go towards. But the fact that there is more money going to help to stop this eventually is the important thing. Mm-hmm. Every step forward is, again, by itself, another step forward. Every little change in direction is a change that is going to get us closer to making this become a chronic illness as opposed to a deadly disease that claims kids that are 7 years old going through radiation therapy.
Well, and in some cases, not even leaving it as a chronic disease, making it something that you treat
goes
it
away.
It's done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as we know full well, that's with cancer not really something that can really just go away. Brigid, I don't know how much you know about it, but as I've understood it, cancer is basically an end product of DNA, well, having Xerox problems after the 14 billionth copy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But to an extent, it depends on the cancer. Like, my mom has been cancer-free for almost 35 years.
Your mom is a statistical anomaly.
She's considered a survivor, not someone in remission.
Happens.
And 35 years, that's what I call a good start.
Yeah.
But to go along with that, XKCD did a thing a while ago called, oh, damn it, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it was about breast cancer. And when you go through whatever that 5-year point is, and most people don't ever have to deal with this, and good on them, you go past your 5-year point and we haven't seen anything for you, everything seems to be out, we can't detect anything cool, come back in 6 months and we'll check you again. Every cough, every sneeze, every aching bone, every I feel horrible getting out of bed today. Oh, I just threw up. I had a virus from school just started. So, okay, yeah, everybody's got everything floating around. I forgot about that. You worry that that's going to be, do I need to go back out now and get checked again now? That level of paranoia is horrible. It's horrible to have to think about.
Well, I know for my mom, every year she has a checkup to make sure she doesn't have some new kind of cancer, because the treatments themselves increase the risk of cancer. And every time there's something wrong, if cancer is a possible explanation, they check. You have to check. Yeah. And
again, Brigid, you would know better than most of us. False positives absolutely devastate people that are worried that they're going to get a positive and they should have gotten a negative for almost any disease or condition.
Yeah. And that's, one of the reasons why pap smears are no longer recommended every year. If you get good ones, they space them out every 3 years now. They're no longer routinely mammogramming people, until age 50. There are false positives, and it does scare the hell out of people.
It makes people do
about the
incredibly invasive surgeries.
They do. But, and a lot of times there's no reason for it, or it could be something that you could just, sit and watch, and it may not get any worse.
But there's always that fear that it will be, because as soon as you hear the C word, suddenly everything just goes to shit in your head, because, well, cancer is a scary word.
It is. But now with the advent of genetic testing, you can tell now who has it, who doesn't, who has the markers. You can see what kinds of chemo would be effective, which ones wouldn't, before experimenting on the patient.
It's definitely not there yet, but it's getting better. I worked for Molecular Testing Labs, which is a genetic marker testing laboratory, and they do great work. But just because you have a marker doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to show up. And they had a huge problem with people getting these markers and then them going out and, like, breast cancer marker coming up positive for the BR. I can't remember what it's called.
BRCA2.
Yeah. And then they'd go out and get their breasts removed. And it's like, wow, you didn't have to do that.
I wouldn't for a marker. Yeah.
So
but, if there's evidence that you have it, then yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's the fact that we have the level of technology to be able to do that at a molecular level to see what is plausible or what to be looking for later. That's a level of Star Trek that absolutely boggles my mind. I mean, as far as to stuff that we look at stuff now that 20, 40 years ago was just science fiction. And we look at what we've got now, and there's stuff that wasn't even on the radar at the time. The closest thing that, and Sam just disappeared, unfortunately, but the closest thing that I could think of to FaceTime, video conferencing that we've got like we've got now, the earliest one that I can think of where it was personal was the schlocky Space 1999. They carried around a device where they had a little TV, 2 inches across on a handheld device, and they could communicate across the base, face to face. Now, Star Trek had the big screens and whatnot, but they were the big screens. It wasn't a personal thing, and Space 1999, who really thinks about it anymore? It's a piece of schlock from the 70s. Okay. But now, we've got... Everybody takes it for granted that they've got their little devices at home on their person at every point, and don't even think about it.
Well, it's amazing that we basically have devices that are the sum of all human knowledge in our pockets. And unfortunately, some people, paranoid people in particular, tend to take it to an extreme where you go into your doctor with a printout from WebMD and you're like, look, I have cancer. You must know that, there's something wrong with me. It's like, calm down. Step away from the keyboard. The problem with you
is that you actually listen to WebMD first.
Well, I'm actually have been a victim of that once before. I was not feeling well and had some little bit of swelling down here in my throat area. And because of my family medical history, the fact that there's not a whole lot of, so far the data on people born to cancer survivors is that, after they survive the cancer, is that, they live healthy, normal lives. But I'm one of the first. So that's not all that encouraging of data because there isn't long-term data yet. And so I was a little bit freaked out. Went to the doctor. The doctor's like, okay, yeah, with your family history, yeah, we'll check for cancer. And turned out I had low vitamin D and allergies.
Everybody has low vitamin D.
I remember when that happened. You were in a bad place.
I wasn't feeling well and then freaked myself the fuck out. And that made it worse.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing. And by the way, is there a link that you should plug every once in a while to let people know that they should be raising money for the cause so that we can beat Sam Mulvey's number? That would be great. Appreciate it.
The links are down below the video if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can go to atheistnomads.com/live. There is a widget on that page if you actually have Adobe Flash. But there's also down below, there's two links to fundraising pages, one where you can donate under me and one under Lauren.
Do it for me. Yeah.
Oh, here's one way we can do it. If you want to get coloring books, donate under Lauren.
Yay.
If you want a chance to win an autographed copy of The Story of God by Chris Matheson, donate under me.
Well, what, my peeps can't get a book?
Okay, donate under both. But if you donate under Lauren if you want the coloring book. There we go.
I have a couple coloring books available.
But yeah, atheistnomads.com/live. And if you're wanting to chat with us, tweet us using the hashtag ANLTN. That's short for Atheist Nomads Light the Night.
Or if you want to say hi to Rocco, because he's right here, being cute. Oh, so cute.
It's so good that you adopted a goat into your house. That's so wonderful.
It's a pygmy, if that's...
We actually, he was homeless before we got a hold of him. He don't know what his life was like before he was on the streets, but it snowed. He was eating garbage, and then he got hit by a truck. He's a 5-pound chihuahua, and he got hit by a truck. The guy picked him up, took him into the Humane Society, and dropped this seizing, bloody, at that point, 4-pound dog on the counter and said, "I hit this fucking dog," and he walked off. And so they brought him in. He started vomiting garbage, wouldn't eat, kept having seizures. They were sure he was going to die. One of the amazing people at the Humane Society, who we let dog sit him periodically, took him home so that he'd have a home to die in. And that first night, she opened the door to let him out to use the outside, and he found some yard debris and started making a nest for himself.
It was so sad. Oh, kitty.
She had to tell him to come back inside, and he made a full recovery. And a month after he got hit by that vehicle, he was with us.
Oh, kitty cat.
Don't hit that murder button, though. I'll give him this. He's got... Your cat has got gorgeous blue eyes.
Oh, yeah. This is Wally.
Wally's
got the same blue eyes as Jack Benny.
He's so cool. We go on rides. He'll just lay in the car and just sunbathe.
That's pretty cool.
He's a good boy. It's a big cuddle there. Oh. I don't know.
So I want to go ahead and ask you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the connection that you guys have for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society that you guys decided that you wanted to do? Now, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of hijacking a little bit, but I mean, yeah, talking about our connections and whatnot is all well and good, but this is kind of a two-way street.
Yeah.
Sure.
For me, I don't have any problem talking about it every hour on the hour or every hour. But yeah, my mom
every hour.
My mom had Hodgkin's lymphoma before I was born. And so I have that connection there. But we've also been and Lauren lost aunt to lymphoma and uncle to leukemia. So we both have connections with blood cancers directly. But we've also been doing this as part of the Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason since 2012, when Todd Stiefel worked with Foundation Beyond Belief to get national teams set up when he was trying to give money and get atheists to give money to fight cancer. And the American Cancer Society told him to take his $1 million and fuck off. And the Leukemia Lymphoma Society...
we don't do Relay for Life in this household.
No. And
no.
Leukemia Lymphoma Society put Foundation Beyond Belief on the back of every T-shirt the 2 years that he was doing the match. And Treasure Valley Coalition Reason has continued it. Because of my personal family connections, I've definitely wanted to continue it. And it's important. And I remember... you go to the events and the Light the Night, and you hear about the programs they have, just the support groups for people fighting cancer now. When my mom went through this 35 years ago, none of that was available. She was alone. She had known one person who had cancer, and he died.
Fuck.
And it was also lymphoma. There wasn't patient groups. There wasn't support groups. There weren't survivors, really, back then. At least not many. And the fact that all that is available, that is amazing.
Of course, like I said earlier, she's a statistical anomaly, so even if she could go to a survivors meeting, she would be... 35 years is so... Most people don't go that long.
Start.
And it should be it should be normal. That's what we're going for. It's like, oh yeah, you can have 30, 40, 50 years after having cancer and be fine.
Well, in 30, 40, 50 years, we'll probably be there.
Yep, like I said, it's small steps. It's always been.
Mm-hmm.
Now my aunt, I don't know if I ever met her. She was an aunt that passed away before I have any memory of her. So she may have actually been my uncle's wife before I was born. I don't actually know right now. She was an amazing young woman. She was the first Native American page in the Idaho legislature. She had all this energy for Native American rights, and she was a fantastic, apparently wonderful woman, and then she passed away very early on from cancer. So every year my uncle has been doing Light the Night, and in fact I've even seen him at the Boise one before and run into somebody you only see once every 3 or 4 years. You're like, oh, hi, what are you here for? Oh yeah, Aunt Jody, I forgot about that. Kind of puts you to task. More recently, though, in the past 2 years ago, I think now, my dad's brother died, and it was rough. He has been having cancer on and off for 20 years. It's just, I remember when I was younger, my parents got him a Camelback because he was constantly dehydrated from the treatments. And so it's like he had cancer his entire life. As all a result of some of the Black Ops work that he did, I'm sure. That's the rumor anyway. But yeah, he finally got the one that got him a couple years ago, and by then it had spread throughout his bones, his lymph nodes, everywhere. So it was pretty bad, but he held on for a long time.
Yeah.
Was your uncle in the Gulf War?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, who knows what he was exposed to. There were some nasty, nasty weapons that were used in that time.
But one of the things I find so incredible is and I know they had somebody who did Light the Night with the Salt Lake Coalition of Reason team a few years ago. He was an active lymphoma patient taking part in a National Institutes of Health trial where they took his T cells, modified them to fight the cancer, and he went through a week of absolute hell with an insane fever, and then the cancer was gone. They turned his own immune system back on the cancer, which is basically a cancer of the immune system. So that's pretty spectacular.
And that was in Salt Lake?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I've only heard of this particular treatment method being tried a handful of times, but it's very experimental. It's very expensive because you're having to take the person's, extract some of their T cells, assuming the treatment hasn't already wiped them all out, modify them, culture more, and then inject them back in. That's so cool. We talked about one on the podcast a while ago with this was a 1.5-year-old girl who basically had cancer her entire life from birth, and it was a very rare form of childhood leukemia, and they had exhausted every possible treatment option. All of the doctors said there wasn't anything that could be done, and then there was one researcher who said there might be something, and he actually got fast-tracked to be able to try something where they were on the early stages of animal trials, and they got the approval in the UK to use this treatment on this little girl, because it was that or she was going to be dead within a few weeks. And it was using donor T cells, genetically modified donor T cells, basically off the shelf, injected them into this little girl, and she went into remission. Absolutely spectacular stuff. Absolutely amazing.
Sorry, I'm trying to bring up my own page here so that I can keep track, but I can't find it.
Sorry. No, that's what I was talking about. I mean, Brigid will be able to tell you too. The level of technology, of knowledge in the medical field over the last 20 years, never mind 10, is positively staggering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's she was the honored hero. I think it was in the 2012 Light the Night. But I actually talked to her last year at Light the Night. She was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma while 6 months pregnant.
Oh.
And actually, it wasn't 6 months pregnant. It was more like 3 or 4 months pregnant. It was early enough in that she didn't have the option of waiting to deliver the baby until after starting chemo. And she went chemo while pregnant and delivered a healthy baby girl who's now 4 or 5 years old and perfectly normal kid. And that wouldn't have been possible 20 years ago.
Yeah.
As much as they were, by modern standards, over-treating, like the stuff they did, the way they treated my mom, if she'd been pregnant at the time she started the treatment, that wouldn't have been possible at all. She can't even sweat. The treatment was so extreme.
Well, that's pretty
literally
insane.
Fried her sweat glands off.
Fuck. I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that happened with chemo. And the thing of it is, that was, and maybe in some cases still is, best case scenario for someone at this point.
Oh, and given the choice between not being able to sweat, which that to some people that sounds like a wonderful thing, but on a hot summer day, if you can't sweat, you have to be really, really careful. And as she's gotten older, she has to be even more careful. Her body has much harder time regulating temperature. But that or dying?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that or dying. I will take Alaska any day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, she lost her thyroid, half a kidney, and her sweat glands. A lot better than her life. And her kidney function 20 years later was back to normal.
Yeah, Brigid, thinking about this one for a second, to kind of help out with temperature regulation, we know full well the skin is one of the biggest radiators anyway, because, you've got the blood flow to the skin layer to cool it down a little bit. But would shaving your own head in order to keep your brain from effectively boiling, I guess, would that be a reasonable precaution if you were in just regular moderate temperatures? If you were busy, maybe moving around where otherwise you might be, mowing the lawn, for instance?
Well, I mean, it would help some as far as like trapping in heat. Depends on how much hair you have. In your case, it probably wouldn't help very much.
Well, I have my hair shaved down for a good goddamn reason, and you know it.
I know, but if you had like no hair compared to what little you have, it probably wouldn't make that much difference.
Ban my ass. Why do I keep you on the show again?
So, like in my mom's case, her hair pre-cancer was incredibly thick. As thick as mine was as a kid, which was thick enough that you run clippers through it and it sticks periodically, which really hurts. But post-cancer, her hair came back much, much thinner. So that would have actually continued. It would have helped with radiating heat.
Yeah, I don't think it would make that much of a difference, though. Not when you're looking at the big picture.
Probably more like a wet washcloth or some sort of handkerchief that's been wet down and kind of tied around your scalp would probably help more.
Help a lot more, yeah.
Yeah.
To try to get some liquid evaporated off of there.
Yeah, when you look at this, the amount of heat that's evaporating from the body, unless you're looking at a newborn baby, most of it is, it's all over you. The head isn't that much surface area.
Didn't they finally put out some news recently that it really your head doesn't radiate any more heat than any other part of your body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you are like I said, a newborn baby whose head is much bigger proportionally. That's why you keep babies' heads covered. But not really anybody.
I learned something new today. This is a good day.
It is a good day when you learn something new. So I just checked in on my webpage. I still have the $30 that was donated from Treasure Valley Labs.
Oh, okay.
Which is another connection we have. Our boss, who will remain unnamed, her son is going through leukemia?
Hodgkin's lymphoma. So,
which
was actually good news because originally they thought it might have been simultaneously Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's.
Yeah.
And so they started out with insanely brutal, like throwing everything at him. And then they ran the tests again. It's like, oh, this is just Hodgkin's.
Which is the treatable, easily treatable.
Yeah, so they scaled way, way back on the treatments, and he's doing pretty good. But he's...
That's that false positive we were talking about before, man. That could hurt you a lot.
And he's about my age, around 30.
Yeah, it's scary. You're reaching an age where you're expected to do all this stuff as an adult, and then all of a sudden you get smacked with the C word, and it's like, whoa, that stuff doesn't matter at all.
And so many people think of cancer as an old people disease.
Or a young person's, or very young person's.
Or a baby thing. But there are so many cancers that hit otherwise healthy adults, young adults, late 20s, 30, early 30s. There's a lot of cancers, in particular the blood cancers, where that's when they hit.
Yeah. Like I said, my wife, 30, just shy of 35 and lost. A year and a half or so after that, one of my best friends in the world got me onto FM radio for a little while. He ended up with leukemia, and he lost. And he was a triathlete, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's any thought that anybody would have as far as to who can get it, just throw that out the window. You see people, it could be them. You look in the mirror, it could be you. There's only way of knowing, and that's the unfortunate extra variable, time.
Which is why it is so important that the majority of people who are unaffected need to form a community that's very supportive of people who do. It's not fair for a family to have to suffer it alone. I do not have cancer. Dustin does not have cancer, but we're still trying to be part of that community because you've got to give the support. You've got to support it, especially in the atheist community.
At least raise some money for it. Help fund better treatments. Help out patients. The bills are expensive. The treatments are expensive, and for the most part, the treatments still suck. As far as treating cancer goes, we're basically in the Stone Age.
Yeah, beat it with a stick.
It's better than what we had.
And
it is still better than what we had.
Yeah. It's so much better, but it's still the treatments we have are so archaic. They're brutal. It's the analogy best analogy I've come up with for how the immune system works is the Mongols. They see there's a problem. All right, slaughter at full force. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, surround the village and burn it down to the ground. And
we're talking about old ancient Mongols, not the current Mongols,
right,
which we don't refer to as Mongols anymore.
The Mongol hordes, like Genghis Khan. But our cancer treatments aren't really any different. It's, your body's attacking itself. We'll attack everything and hope you survive.
Yeah, but like I was saying, it's a hell of a lot better than what it had been. At one point, one of the treatments was actually putting radioactive material inside of cancerous lesions in order to destroy it by radiation. And of course, we know full well that's really a bad idea.
Yeah,
totally.
Actually, I think Marie Curie came up with that. She was involved in a whole bunch of using radioactive materials to defeat cancer, which were usually the result of handling radioactive materials.
Which is why she died of cancer.
But the idea was there, and it stepped people forward to making new discoveries.
Well, just the idea of killing cells, the bad cells that replicate faster versus the good cells that don't, essentially, isn't it? Isn't that the basic premise?
Yeah, that more or less is. The problem is it's really hard to actually separate them out all that well. We had one of my parents. Oh, excuse me.
He gets burpy when he drinks.
One of my parents' friends, he had treatment for prostate cancer that was really cool. He went to Loma Linda University Medical Center, and they had a state-of-the-art proton accelerator. They made a mold of his body. They did a CT scan of his prostate, and they actually managed to make it so that the radiation only hit the cutout through his body that matched up with the prostate and the cancer. So they were able to blast it with high-level radiation without touching anything more than absolutely necessary. And that is so fucking awesome. Unfortunately, he didn't live all that much longer after that. But that wasn't related to the cancer, I don't think. And Shujin and Brigid, thank you both very much for joining us. You don't have to necessarily leave, but we now have Chris Tanner from Cellar Door Skeptics.
Oh, it was nice to meet you and Wesley.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
And Brigid, I also do want to thank you for being one of the people that reached out when I lost my job back in 2013 and wasn't sure how we were going to pay the hosting bills. You were one of the people that helped us through that. So thank you.
Glad I could help.
That means a lot. That was a shock to both of us. We both lost our job within a week.
You can find Shujin and Brigid on Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. at holycrapthevlogcast.com. The link is in the show notes, along with the link to help donate so that we can help fight blood cancers and, basically to fuck cancer. Something that's been said quite a few times during this episode. So, yes, the link is at atheistnomads.com/167. It'll be the top link on that page. So go ahead and click on it and at least help me get to the goal of $666 because, hey, atheist born to a blood cancer survivor, that seems like the appropriate goal. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/atheistnomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.